What is going on, everybody? Riddle's here, back again. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel today. This is the Riddle Me This podcast, and today is episode 15 of the Riddle Me This podcast. If you are subscribed, thank you so very much. If you haven't subscribed already, what the hell are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe and turn on the bell for all notifications so you will be notified when I upload content to this channel. On today's episode, we have a review of Insane Clown Posse, Hell's Cellar EP that is currently available at the Gathering of the Juggalos. As you can see, I am currently not gathering right now. I will tell you in just a few moments as to how I heard this album. But before I get into it, be sure to subscribe to the Wicked Crew, my collaboration channel, the collaboration channel that I'm part of. It's not mine, but with Dr. Wicked, Nightmare Juggalo, Alan the Clown, and others. I'll link that in the description below so you can check that out. Give them some love and subscribe. Also, links to all my social media. Give my Facebook page a like. You can follow me on Twitter at Riddle's Juggalo. My Instagram is there, Snapchat, etc. Also, Dollhouse Radio. I'm an administrator on that Facebook page, so give Dollhouse Radio a like and follow them. So that's pretty much it. Let's get into this review. I don't know how long this is going to go. I'm just going to go with it and just see what we can come out with here. Unless you've been living under a rock, you know that currently the Gathering of the Juggalos 2018 is currently going on, and ICP are releasing an EP at the Gathering, and the name of it is Hell's Cellar. And this is basically a Hell's Pit era forgotten freshness kind of thing. It's basically just unused leftover tracks from the Hell's Pit album from 2004. And they compiled these tracks together and put it out for sale at the Gathering. Also, it's going to be coming out on vinyl too here pretty soon, I believe. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But 9 tracks, no guest appearances. First, I want to say this, that it was nice, it was great to hear some old school ICP from back in the day, back in that era of Hell's Pit 2004. I remember going to the Hell's Pit tour when they came through here into my area. That was my first ever ICP show. I've been down since like 97, Great Malenko era, but that was my first ever ICP show. And it was fucking amazing. Of course, ICP was there, ABK, Mac 10, and Esham was there, and they had like a couple of like local acts opening the show. It was a great show, and I absolutely loved it. I enjoyed it. As many of you know, I've told this story on my old channel, my Riddle's Nightmare channel. That is the show, the concert, where I hooked up with this fine little juggalette and got some head from her back in the bag in the loading dock bay area of this venue. So yeah, it was a memorable experience in so many ways. And I really love that era. It's one of my favorites. Not just Hell's Pit, but just the Wraith era in general, both Shangri-La and Hell's Pit. But, yeah, it was great to hear some old school ICP, unheard ICP from back then. But let's get to the negative side of this here. I had heard through the grapevine, the rumor mill, people at the Gathering have been saying, now I don't know if this is true or not, I would hope not. I would hope ICP would have a little bit more sense than this, that they are selling copies of this album for $20. There are 9 tracks on this album. It's an EP. So selling it for $20, yeah, sure, it's a big event. It's the Gathering. It's the big event, you know, of the year for any and all juggalos that can afford to go. But selling that for $20, that's a little steep to me. You know, it's kind of one of those things, just because you can doesn't mean you necessarily should. You know, they could easily get away with selling that at a fraction of that cost, at like $10. And that would be a much better price point there. And you would still make money. But $20 for that is just, it's a little steep in my opinion. Also, the second thing, negative wise, that I want to get into with this this release, they might as well have just taken the Insane Clown Posse name off of this and just renamed it Violent J Hell's Cellar, because basically this was a Violent J solo record. That's all it was, in the grand scheme of things, as you know, lyrically and such. So you know, just they could have very easily just slated this as a Violent J solo EP. Not taking anything away from Violent J and his ability, especially back then. But, you know, this wasn't a true ICP effort, in my opinion. But let's get into it here. Like I said, 9 tracks. I'll go through the track list for you if you haven't heard anything about this, and maybe you're not at the Gathering. Number 1, Hell's Pit Intro Extended. 2, Clown Show. 3, Can't End Myself. 4, Taking It Away. 5, I Can See It All. 6, Big Bad Wolf. 7, Alakazam. 8, Spontaneous Combust. And 9, The Truth. So yeah, it's an EP. It's about 35 minutes long. Great EP. I'm not gonna lie, even though, you know, I pretty much just blasted them for saying it was an ICP release and it was basically a Violent J solo. But let's get into it. The Hell's Pit Intro Extended was basically just it was basically the intro from the album itself, just with some unheard pieces of audio in there. Personally, I liked the OG intro that was on the Hell's Pit album. That's just me personally. Clown Show. This was probably straight up my favorite track on this album. It had this thing in the beat. I love the beat. It had this creepy, distorted carnival clown circus music incorporated into the beat, and I loved it. And for some reason, I couldn't help but think, going back to the Riddle Box era, the show must go on. And this kind of, for me, kind of played into that song as like a continuation of that song itself on the Riddle Box. Can't End Myself. Now, Shaggy Two Dope plays a very small role at the very beginning of this, like a little narration thing. Right off the bat, just hearing that little bit of the narration at the beginning by Shaggy, it took me back to Toxic Love, which, of course, was a Hallowicked single years back. Personally, one of my favorite songs. This song basically is about a man who, no matter what he did, he couldn't die. He couldn't end himself, and he was forced to live in his own personal hell, his own torment. Taking It Away. Some of you may recognize the song title as a song off of A&B's debut album on Psychopathic, Blood In, Blood Out. And it was the exact same beat, just Violent J rapping over it. You know, the big question is, does it really have a Hell's Pit era feel to it? My opinion, it doesn't. For me, it kind of has a Psychopathic Riders feel to it. This sounded to me like a Bullet track, a Bullet solo track. And of course, if you've never heard Psychopathic Riders, Bullet is Violent J's alter ego in Psychopathic Riders. Yeah, I mean, it was a good song. I liked it, but it just didn't really have a Hell's Pit feel to it. I Can See It All. This was like the story of a man tormented by seeing into the future, all the bad things coming in the future, either by someone else or by him. And on the hook, I could be sorely mistaken, but it sounds like Blaze You Dead Homie on the hook of this song. You just have to listen to it. Big Bad Wolf, basically a take on Little Red Riding Hood. If it was a horror story or a horror movie type of thing. Basically Violent J rapping as the Big Bad Wolf, like a killer werewolf creature kind of thing. Alakazam was pretty good. I liked the beat on this song, the lyrics. It had a Hell's Pit feel to it, but also it kind of took me back to the era where it all started for me, the Great Malenko. It just had a Great Malenko-esque feel to it for me. Spontaneous Combust. This song, beat-wise, I liked. I didn't like it lyrically. It was just, I don't know. For me, in my opinion, it was just, lyrically it was sloppy. I just didn't like it. But beat-wise, it was great. The Truth, the final track on the EP. Once again, the beat. If you listen closely and you are a Dark Lotus fan, you'll instantly recognize this beat from Past the Axe on Dark Lotus' second album, Black Rain. Basically a song, Violent J dissing the mainstream music scene, and, you know, how ICP is, you know, the wicked underground thing. You know, pretty self-explanatory. You know, once again, did that really have, for me, does that really have a Hell's Pit era feel to it? Not really. that kind of sounds more like something maybe you would have heard on maybe Amazing Jackal Brothers or something like that. But once again, a decent song. It just really didn't have that Hell's Pit era feel to it for me personally. So all in all, a great EP. You know, it had some hits, it had some misses. You know, once again, Violent J. This, you know, that's pretty much all it was Violent J. This could have just been a Violent J solo release, in my opinion. But, you know, they decided to put the ICP name on it for whatever reason. You know, I was expecting, you know, Shaggy to have a much more prominent role on this, but it is what it is. For me, for the most part, lyrically and beat-wise, it delivered. You know, there's just a few little things in there that, you know, I just didn't think really belonged. Not just on this EP, but, you know, just in that era in general, it just didn't fit. But I heard this EP on YouTube, and I will link where I found it on YouTube in the description below, so you can check it out for yourself. And of course, if you are at the gathering, you are gathering this year, it is available there for, again, what I hear, for $20. So, you know, it's all a matter of opinion and taste whether that $20 is worth it or not. So, that is my phone ring. So, till next time, this is Riddles. I'm out. Peace. Thank you so much for tuning into the Riddle Me This podcast. It's greatly appreciated, and I'll talk to you later.